All right, so try to hear me out. SCHD, or the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, has been a great ETF that's offered great returns every single year, more or less, since inception. An ETF that offers defensive qualities as far as the holdings go. Is cheap to hold on to and offers almost a 4% yield plus a ton of dividend growth historically. But what about for investors that want some exposure to what SCHD offers, but want a lot higher yield? I'm talking 15%. Well, for investors interested in that idea, there is a new ETF coming out apparently from Defiance called the Defiance SCHD Target 15 Income ETF. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys what this brand new ETF potentially is, how it's going to work, and for certain, if you like SCHD and you love dividend income, you are going to be very, very fascinated with this one. So if this interests you at all, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. My A to Z dividend investing ebook has helped countless dividend investors get started with their journey. And my custom dividend tracker that I'm constantly using here on the channel has also helped so many investors stay on track and allow them to see their dividend income in real time. Well, today I have another treat for you guys. I'm not only going to offer you my A to Z dividend investing ebook and the custom dividend tracker, but also just for a short limited time, I'm going to be adding in my brand new weekly dividend blueprint ebook to show you how you can get started with weekly dividend ETFs and add this into your investing strategy. This offer is not going to last long, so go ahead and click the first link down below in my description, and you're going to get both ebooks and the custom dividend tracker bundle. But like I said, please act fast because this won't be around for long. Now let's get back into the video. So this is a filing that I found on sec.gov. This is Form N-1A, and this is from Title Trust 2. Like I mentioned, this ETF is going to be brought to us by Defiance, and it's going to be called the Defiance SCHD Target 15 Income ETF. Now, it's no secret that tons of different fund managers are utilizing different strategies, different holdings, whether it's a single stock or even a basket of stocks or an ETF, and then sort of juicing them up with an option strategy to offer investors exposure and a ton more income generation. But let's read on. It says Defiance SCHD Target 15 Income ETF. Fund summary, investment objective. The fund's primary investment objective is to seek current income. The fund's secondary investment objective is to seek capital appreciation. Now, comparing that with good old-fashioned SCHD, the fund's goal is to track as closely as possible before fees and expenses the total return of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. So very different so far. But what's even more interesting is the investment strategy. It says right here, principal investment strategies. The fund is an actively managed exchange-traded fund or ETF that seeks income and capital appreciation, which I'm fine with so far. The fund strategy involves, number 1, investing directly in underlying holdings of the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, SCHD, an exchange-traded fund that seeks to track the performance of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index and generating option premium income through an option portfolio by collecting premiums from selling writing options on the underlying SCHD or highly correlated securities, or SCHD itself. The fund's option portfolio seeks to target annual income distribution level of 15%, which is going to be called the annual target. The annual target refers to the fund's goal of making cash distributions to shareholders equal to approximately 15% of the fund's net asset value on an annualized basis. It is not a guarantee, nor does it represent a 15% yield or a 15% total return. The target is distinct from the fund's SEC yield, which reflects the fund's income based on standardized calculations and may be significantly lower than the target distribution level. The 15% target should not be interpreted as an indication of the fund's actual investment return or income yield, and actual distributions may vary on market conditions and the fund's ability to generate income through its investment strategy to meet the annual target. The fund may make distributions that are classified as return of capital for tax purposes. Nothing new there. It then says equity strategy to seek to achieve a capital appreciation. The fund invests in SCHD or its underlying holdings. SCHD is an exchange-traded fund that seeks to track the performance of the Dow Jones US Dividend 100 Index. The index is composed of high dividend-yielding US stocks with a record of consistent dividend payments and strong fundamentals, etc., etc. The fund may invest in all of SCHD's underlying holdings or may invest in SCHD's underlying holdings based on a representative sampling strategy, meaning that the advisor selects a core group of holdings whose risk return and other characteristics closely resemble the risk return and other characteristics of the overall portfolio. The fund makes no guarantees that the equity strategy performance will directly match the performance of SCHD, and some variance, at times meaningful, should be anticipated. The fund invests directly in shares of SCHD rather than its underlying holdings when an advisor determines that doing so would better support the fund's income and capital appreciation objectives. The fund utilizes SCHD and its underlying holdings as its core investment to gain diversified exposure to high-quality U.S. companies with a focus on dividend sustainability and growth. While the fund does not track the index through the equity strategy, the fund's equity exposure is shaped by the index, underlying methodology, and characteristics. Dividends paid on the equity strategy holdings will also contribute to the fund's objective of seeking income. Now, it then goes on to talk about the option strategy. It says the fund seeks to generate income primarily through the use of options strategies involving option contracts on underlying holdings of SCHD or highly correlated securities and SCHD itself. The fund earns income by collecting premiums from selling or writing options. When an option is sold, the buyer pays the fund for the right to either purchase or sell the underlying asset at a predetermined price. The advisor employs different option strategies based on the market outlook, selecting one or a combination of strategies it believes will achieve the annual targets, while also allowing for potential capital appreciation, growth in asset value. The advisor also evaluates the performance of the underlying securities when choosing which option strategies to deploy. So all in all, this seems extremely interesting to me. I'm all about buying into a very high quality underlying, whether it's a single stock, whether it's a basket of stocks, or whether it's an index. And then of course, using an option strategy. I mean, we've seen so many different funds throughout the market do this and have great success with it. Now, one of the main things that does interest me though, does SCHD ongoingly have enough implied volatility to really generate enough income generation from selling calls, especially if they also want some upside potential? Now, what I mean by that is, of course, you can sell options on the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF or really any other stock or ETF across the market, but it doesn't mean that they're all worth doing so. What I mean by that is that the amount of premium to be had when it comes to most strike prices and most durations with SCHD, it's really hard to know if it'd be worth selling call options on an ETF that doesn't really have all that much juicy premium. Now, that being said, during times in the market where this ETF trades more or less sideways, that could be a great strategy. I mean, I've done this on my own portfolios with names like Realty Income, for example, which over the last several years has more or less traded sideways, paid out 5% yield. But because I've been selling call options across most of my shares of Realty Income over this time frame, I've been able to generate so much more than 5% yield. So all in all, would I personally buy into the Defiance SCHD Target 15 Income ETF? I wouldn't really say that I would or wouldn't at this point. I'd have to think about it. I like the idea overall, but it really just depends on where you see the price, the performance of this ETF, the underlying moving forward on whatever time frame you're using. Because for the most part, when it comes to this ETF specifically, I utilize this as a foundational position in my long-term portfolio. And even though I could sell call options across all my shares of SCHD, I currently have around 2,500 shares. I wouldn't really want to risk on giving my shares away, but that's just sort of my opinion. All to say that before I go, I do have a question for you guys down below. When it comes to the Defiance ETF, that's targeting 15% return with SCHD. I want to know down below if you guys would buy this one or not. Let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.